Hello and welcome to the first of the 7 big mistakes that we all make in relationships, and that's why we get such bad results, you know, the opposite to what we do want, which is great results in love and life. Yes. Now, of course, what our outcome here for you from this series of videos is for you to get to the 2 steps, the first 2 steps. So remember, if you've watched the 5 steps to love, you'll know what they are. And the first 2 steps is really our outcome on this series of videos, is to help you get to those first 2 steps and go, okay, this is where I am. So we're all looking at awareness, number 1, and acceptance, number 2. That's what these are all about. So
yes, and you know, one of the big reasons why we do that is because so many people do what is part of mistake number 1, of course. That is, they go looking for tips and solutions that are going to change what experience they have in their relationships. And if we've learned nothing in the last kind of 5 or 6 years, and we have learned that actually that's not going to be the best solution for you. The best solution for you is to get that awareness and that acceptance,
yeah, I think it would be
of the big mistakes.
It definitely is a little bit like, say for example, you get yourself a bit of a headache. What do? You reach in your bag if you're a woman and you get yourself out your tablet and you take your tablet and you want your headache to just go away. So of course in the modern world we've got loads of solutions like that, where we get sort of like instant gratification, as it's called. Yes. And an instant solution. Now the challenge with relationships is there is no pill, there is no tablet, there is no quick fix to something that probably you've been doing all your life. That was certainly our realisation. You know, for me it took me 47 years to realise that it was like really all about me, and that's what our big mistake number 1 is. Yes. Is really, you know, to become aware of what we were doing. And certainly what I was doing is I was blaming the world and everybody in the world for my problems. Yeah, so
yeah, what we do is, most specifically when we're in a relationship that's not working, is we blame our partner. And if we're in the, you know, we're single and searching, we're constantly asking ourselves, what can I do? Where can I go? Who is the right person for me? How can I find that person? You know, like going on dating sites or to, agony aunt columns. And, we've done some work for some of the magazines, and, you look at some of the things. We wrote something for Cosmopolitan, and they're asking us for tips, on, what should a woman do to, attract a man. And of course it's all about, they're giving sort of, they're asking to say, well, like, give us a solution. So does a woman need to be really confident and make the first move? And we're going, look, hold on a minute, that's never going to get you the relationship you want. And so the absolute first thing, the big mistake, is you're looking outside of yourself. You're looking outside of the world, or you're looking outside, or you're looking at the person that you're in a relationship with. You've got to look at you. So yeah, what does that mean? That's where it
all starts. Yeah, so it's true. So what does that mean? It's like, how do we look at ourselves? Well, there are, you've got like 5 senses. Firstly, you've got, your ears. And your ears are so powerful, but you know what? I heard this great expression once, which is so true. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we're meant to listen twice as hard or twice as long as we speak. Yeah. Yeah,
and when we think about listening, we normally think about listening to other people. How often do we think about listening to ourselves?
It's just we just don't do that. No. Snap. We just don't. Now the thing is, when we're searching for love, we want that whole loving experience with another beautiful soul. What we've got to hear is really, what are we saying to this person? Yes. Yeah, because you've got that great saying, is you never say something to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, before I can remember being in relationships that weren't working for me, and going and chatting to my girlfriends, which is what a lot of girls do, don't we? And we go chat to my girlfriends. I'm telling her all the things that I don't like about his behaviour, and trying to work out with my girlfriend what to do. Of course, just a side note here, I'm not looking in any way about what I'm doing, which is the whole point of this first big mistake, is, what was I doing? But what I was saying to her is, telling her all about these things that I didn't like, or I didn't like about my life, and then I realised there was no way I was ever discussing that with my partner. And so before I met Tony, I actually decided to have an agreement with myself that I would never say anything to a friend or a girlfriend or anybody else that I wouldn't say to Tony. And that is like almost like, actually it's jumping right to the end, isn't it? Is that, you know, how can you be is in a fantastic relationship? Here's your first big mistake, but one of course the mistakes that people make along the line is they don't tell each other the truth. And you know, the first big mistake, not telling yourself the truth about yourself.
Well, you're not listening to yourself, you know.
No.
Like, for example, if I want Nikki to be loving to me, you know, what do I need to do? Well, the first thing is obviously to be loving to her. You know, love is about giving, so it's giving love to her. She's going to, you know, just naturally be in a great space. If I say something beautiful about her, is she going to feel good about herself and likely to say something good back to me? Well, absolutely. So that's why we need to listen up to what we're saying and see whether what we're saying has got sort of like an energy. If you think about it, you've got the red and the green, as we call it. So the red is low energy, yeah? Where that low energy is like coming from you, and you're then getting that back because the other person receives that. You know, if you tell someone you don't like them, they're hardly going to say, but I like you back, are they? They're not, you know. So it's like, what can you do to get yourself into that loving space? So you've got to become aware of listening to your language and seeing whether that language is something that's going to pull someone towards you or in fact push them further away from you.
Yeah, so, you know, think about some different scenarios where, you know, you need to be much more aware of what you're saying and what you're doing and also what state you're showing up in. You know, what kind of state am I showing up? So think of the scenario of when you're in disconnection with your partner, or when you're in an argument with your partner, or you're in a situation where you're trying to persuade your partner to see things your way or to go along with some arrangement that you want them to make. Listen to yourself. Think about what intention you have for a start of. You know, do you go into that conversation thinking, well, you know, how can I manipulate them to see my way? I mean, which is often what we're doing. We're going, look, if you saw it my way, everything would be okay. Whereas, of course, you know, obviously we're not in any way considering the way we're putting that over. Least of all, you know, considering noticing how that works. Because that's the big thing, you see. When we're not aware of the way we're showing up in any scenario, we're not doing the key thing, which is we're not noticing what's working. So if you've got any challenges in your relationship life, which I'm assuming that you wouldn't be watching this unless you had. So if you're single, you know, and you're sitting there thinking, well, what do I have to do to get into a relationship? If you're in a relationship and it's just not working, you've got to start to look at the way you see what you're doing, see what's working and what's not working, of course.
Yeah, I absolutely. And see, the biggest challenge, okay, so say you come into the awareness, say you get over that first hurdle and you listen to yourself today. You go, you know, if you're single and you've got a boyfriend and you're on the phone, hear what you're saying, you know. If you're married and you're going to go home and you're going to, you know, go in the front door, hear what you say when you walk in the door. You know, is what you're saying coming from this beautiful place of love, or is it in fact coming from a sort of a low negative energy that you've maybe just got yourself into, yeah? Now, the difficult part about all of this is definitely the acceptance. Stage 2, as we call it, is acceptance. Now, the thing is, I always say to people when it comes to acceptance, hands up all those people that don't mind being wrong. You know, well, it's like the thing is, nobody really wants to be wrong. Well, it's not really about being wrong, but normally that's the very thing that stops us accepting, isn't it? It's the thought of us accepting that we're in the wrong is like, okay, I'm not going to do that. And by not doing that, of course, you don't give yourself the gift of being able to go on to step 3 and get a completely different result. Now, what prevents us doing that is actually like what I always call our ego self. And it's, of course, easy to watch everybody else and see what they all do that's wrong, and you can tell them all very quickly. But of course, when you're looking out of your body, so to speak, it's very tough to look back and see what you're doing wrong. But this is the key to acceptance. So in this particular case, with this very big mistake, where we're blaming everybody else, one of the most difficult things is to go, okay, so what could I be doing here that's getting me the result I'm getting? So remember from when you watch the 5 Steps to Love, that, you know, we talked a bit about cause and effect. So in a sense, if you're sitting there and you are having an experience of life and that experience is not good, then how would it be that you have to accept that you caused that to happen? Now, I know that's a tough call. See, your ego will be going, oh no, I can't have it be my fault. Because if it's my fault, what does that mean about me? You know, that's a big challenge, isn't it? But the thing is, we live in a world of cause and effect. So when we get this point, we can change things radically. But it really is about accepting that whatever scenario you're experiencing, you are causing that to happen.
Yeah.
In other words, you're not an effect, and it's not the world doing it to you. It's you're creating that through mostly what you say and your energy and stuff like that.
Yeah, let's just give you a couple of examples, because that just may help. Is that, you know, we had a girl that we worked with and have continued to work with over the last few years, and you know what was amazing about her is she's lovely, attractive, really bubbly human being that just could not seem to find a relationship. You know, she'd get into a lot of short-term relationships and it wasn't working. It was only when we started to say to her, you know, what's going on for you? How are you showing up? Listen to what you're saying. Listen to the way that you you know, present yourself to people, and particularly men when you're in a relationship with them. And what was so brilliant about her is that she really realised some of her patterns. And one of her key patterns, which is very, very common in women, especially if they're single and they are going, well, you know, I have got to, like, if you like, make my life for myself, is that she was showing up in a very kind of fearful way. So she was kind of going, well, like, that was either her awareness told us that was either showing up in a I'm okay, I can look after myself kind of looking way, which obviously from a man's perspective, a man is going, well, you know, therefore she doesn't need caring for, so, you know, that's not an attractive thing to a man. Or she was going, I really need a man to look after me. So she was really great at understanding what that looked like and felt like to a man, and instead of beating herself up that the relationship hadn't worked, she was going, oh my god, that is the biggest learning, because now I know that in future I need to find the solution. I need to accept that and then find the solution, find the different way of showing up. And of course, you know, as you always say, if you want to think of a solution right now, the absolute way to do that is to go do the opposite. So what's the opposite to fear? To showing up in a fearful way is to show up in a loving space. Well, what does that mean? You know, it shows that to be confident in yourself, it shows to be trusting, all those kind of things. And as we watch this woman realise that and have an awareness when she was doing that, we watched her blossom into a woman that's obviously, you know, now very attractive to men, because she's had that awareness and that acceptance. And I think we mentioned when we were talking before about you know, quite an unusual example of this is, you know, somebody that realised, a guy in a relationship that was doing okay in this relationship, but they're noticing that they're having quite a lot of disconnection, which obviously you know, you will know that will lead to disconnection in terms of intimacy, disconnection in terms of with your kids and all those kind of things. And what he realised when he got aware was he realised that what he was doing was showing up in a less than, you know, like grumpy, a bit sleepy, a bit low energy. And he actually realised that a lot of that was down to what he was eating and the way he was living his life, the environment he was putting himself in front of the telly. So there's so many different examples. So think about your situation. You know, how am I showing up? What am I saying? What am I doing? What is working for me and what's not working? What brings out the worst in my partner? What absolutely, you know, causes my partner to come towards me in an amazing way?
Yeah, so there you go. How would it be? It's you know, that simple, that we are in this very big mistake looking outside of ourselves at the external world, people and things that happen to us, and that's that's the mistake. It's like that simple. And to become aware that that's what we're doing, and then of course that big number 2 step, to accept that's what we're doing, is in fact the road to freedom, really.
So it's actually a lot to do from this big mistake.
Yes,
there is an awful lot of work for you to do. You know, not to make it sound like a lot of work, but to, you know, because can you imagine what it would feel like to be in a fantastic relationship because you've had a realization of where you're coming from and how you need to show up differently.
Yeah, so you know, maybe today is the day that you have your first real good listen to what you say. You have a real good think about, well, how do I feel? You know, am I feeling good about myself right now? What sort of energy am I in? Am I feeling up and happy, or am I feeling low and down? Yeah, because if you're feeling low and down, you're going to get a low and down experience. If you're up and happy, then of course different words come out of your mouth, and you can hear that happening, and then you know, you're going to get a different experience. So it's like, how can you maintain that over and over? But of course, first step is to become aware of where you are. It's like the gift that will set you free, ultimately. It certainly was our very first learning to think, oh my gosh, I am in control of my life here, rather than my life being in control of me. But of course, it's awareness first, awareness of what's going on for you. Absolutely. So we trust you've got all you need to go away and never ever ever make big mistake number 1 ever again. So we'll be back with you on another video talking about the other big mistakes that we make and what you can do to become aware and start to accept that that's what you're doing. So yeah, we'll see you then.